Checking out new scenes, live for life all night, raging against the machine. I'm a simple, sweet connection standing right next to you. We're here in the moment, right here be mine, right here in this bar. You love the way I try so hard. It's in the fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Today is Sunday, June 11th. My name is Clint Davis, and here's the problem. What we're going to take a look at today, this week, is we're going to do another little review, and we're going to talk about James Comey. Now, a lot of people listened to the testimony. A lot of people didn't, and I'm kind of surprised by that because we've waited for this testimony for a long time. We've waited to hear what James Comey was going to say about President Trump. And I think the Democrats are a little bit upset right now because they pretty much have no leg left to stand on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at 10 things, just 10 things only. And we learned so many more things than 10, but we're going to look at 10 things that we learned this week about James Comey's testimony. Now, before we do that, I want to give a shout out and a special thanks to the gentleman who provides the music for Here's the Problem. His name is Levi Shane. That was a song called Centerfold that we open and close with. If you want to hear more from Levi Shane, go to soundcloud.com/demoninthemirror. You can find all you want to listen to. He's got a ton of songs on SoundCloud, so jump on there and give it a listen. Big thanks to Levi. Now, the 10 things we're going to look at. They're very, very simple. They're very broken down. Anybody can understand them. A lot of people have had a lot of problems comprehending the testimony that was given by James Comey. President Donald Trump did not come out as a liar in this testimony. James Comey said, well, I was afraid that President Trump would lie about the nature of our meeting. Well, that doesn't mean anything. I can say that I'm afraid purple cupcakes from China are going to lie, but that doesn't mean they're going to. Why? Because purple cupcakes from China can't talk. And just because somebody says it doesn't make it real. But let's talk about 10 things that are real. Now, we're going to do this episode of the podcast a little bit like we've been doing. I've gotten some good feedback from some people who have said, hey, we don't have an hour, we don't have 2 hours to listen to stuff. Let's break it down. Get the news out, get the points out, get the facts out. Give us something short, sweet, to the point that we can listen to. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to draw this out. It's not going to take forever. So, a lot of you guys have listened to podcasts I've done in the past. And we've taken a look at a lot of this stuff right here. And what I've been waiting for is testimony to get this Russian conspiracy theory, this Russian Trump hoax collusion out of the way. And that's exactly what we found this week. It's out of the way. So the first thing we want to look at, number 10, the Russian story is dead. Any Democrat who continues to push it is going to look foolish and insane to the American people. And that point is very, very valid because that's all we've seen from the left. Hillary Clinton has lost her election miserably. And let me go into a couple of things about Hillary Clinton losing the election. Here's some things that Hillary Clinton has blamed for losing her election. Well, she called it her election. It was the presidential election of 2016, the one Donald Trump won. That's why he's the president. Here's some things that Hillary Clinton blames for losing the election. The FBI, James Comey, the Russians, Vladimir Putin, anti-American forces, low information voters, which she's calling people stupid. She thinks that everybody who voted for Trump, 30-plus states, are stupid. Everyone who assumed she would win, she blamed people for assuming she would win. Bad polling numbers, which is ridiculous because we've just seen this past week where a lot of voter registration scammers are being charged with crimes, and and the people responsible are Democrats. She also blamed President Obama for winning 2 terms. Well, I mean, we can blame a lot of things on Obama for winning 2 terms. People wanting change. Can you believe that? I mean, let's face it, folks. America, I'm going to say America, voted for President Obama the first time because we wanted change. And now Hillary Clinton is blaming that exact same thing, people wanting change. She's saying that's a reason why she lost the election. It's ridiculous. I've never heard anything like this. But the list goes on. Let me continue. Misogynists, suburban women, the New York Times, television executives, cable news, Netflix, Democrats not making the right documentaries, Facebook, Twitter, WikiLeaks, fake news, content farms in Macedonia, the Republican Party, the Democratic National Committee, and the Democratic Party. Those are all things that Hillary Clinton blames on her election loss. It's ridiculous. I've never heard excuses like this in my life. You know, it used to be when somebody would lose an election, they would say, hey, great, we gave it all we could, we did a great job, maybe in 4 years, maybe in 8 years. We'll try it again. Well, not Hillary Clinton. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 different people or organizations or entities that she is blaming for her election loss. Netflix. Who can break that down? How do you blame Netflix for losing the election? And she did that. She gave a speech where she specifically blamed Netflix as one of the reasons why she lost her election. It makes no sense. But point number 10 that I brought up, getting back to the subject, 10 things that we learned about James Comey's testimony, former FBI director who was fired. And a lot of people are saying, well, Trump obstructed justice by firing James Comey. No, he didn't, people. The president can fire the FBI director whenever he wants, wherever he wants, and however he wants, and there doesn't have to be a reason. It's not because of the Russia investigation, folks. There is no Trump collusion with Russia. Trump did not fire James Comey because he was going to find something out about Russia. That's not why it happened. We'll talk about why it happened. There's a couple more points we're going to talk about here. Number 9 on the things we learned about James Comey's testimony. The Democratic Party no longer has the ability to scream Russia every time Trump tries to do something. Now, that's all they've done. Whether it's health care, whether it's tax reform, whether it's a Supreme Court justice nominee, it doesn't matter. The wall, relations with allies overseas, it doesn't matter what it is. The Democrats have tried to stonewall President Trump at the turn of every corner because all they do is scream the word Russia. And I'll say it again. There is no Russian collusion with James Comey or with President Trump. James Comey is the one who has the problem with obstruction of justice, and we're going to talk about a point here in a second about Loretta Lynch and Hillary Clinton. But it's not Trump's problem. It's James Comey's problem. It's not Russian-Trump collusion. There is none of that. And we'll also talk about that here in a second. Number 8, CNN and other fake news outlets have been lying and making things up this entire time, especially the New York Times and the Washington Post, people. Now, I don't know if I keep up with them on Twitter just to see what kind of news they're producing. And it's about as worthless as it is with the CNN, with the Clinton News Network. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it's staged. And a lot of it is just hot air about Russia and Trump. It makes no sense. There's no credibility. And let me explain that. When you put out a story and your main source of info is an unnamed source who names an unnamed source for the information. Now, how reliable is that, people? It's not reliable at all. You know, when you put out news, you need to cite some sources. You need to have some information. You need to have some facts to back you up. You need to be able to go to a person or an entity or a company or a news source and say, this is where we get our information. But when the Washington Post, when the New York Times, when CNN, when they do this stuff, they're unable to do that. They want everybody to believe what they put out in the media. And that's why President Trump is against mainstream media. That's why the Republicans are against mainstream media. That's why we don't care about mainstream media. And that's the reason why the Democrats are so mad at President Trump being on Twitter. Because President Trump has the ability to bypass idiotic reporters that ask the same answered questions 5,000 times at a press conference. President Trump has the ability to bypass the New York Times, to bypass the Washington Post, to bypass CNN, to bypass MSNBC, and put out his information. Information pertaining to the country, to the president, spoken to America by the president himself. We don't need mainstream media as a middleman. We don't. If you don't follow President Trump on Twitter, it's hilarious, guys. And not because of what President Trump says. What's hilarious about it is the snowflakes who go crazy about everything President Trump says. They lose their minds. I don't know how many people sit on Twitter every day and wait for President Trump to tweet something just so they can go nuts. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. These people hate Trump so bad, but they sit around on Twitter and they wait for him to tweet. I can get an update on my phone from Twitter where the president has just put something on Twitter, and not even 15 seconds later, there's 6,000 comments on the tweet. And it's all a bunch of liberal hack jobs who are crying about Russia, crying about James Comey, crying about everything crying about Hillary Clinton, crying about the mainstream media, crying about tax reform, crying about health care. And these people don't understand that a president needs more than 160 days to be effective. Can you get things done in 160 days? Of course there's things you can get done in 160 days, but you can't complete an entire presidency in 160 days. You can't get every single thing done that the country needs done in 160 days. But these people sit on Twitter and Facebook, and as soon as Trump says something, they say, well, you haven't done this, and you haven't done that, and you haven't done this. Guys, has it even been 160 days yet? You can't tell a president that they're ineffective when they haven't even had 160 days in office. Look at Obama. There's 8 years there. This guy put mass amounts of people on food stamps, which needs reform in a bad way. He raised the debt by $10 trillion, and everybody's talking to Obama or to Trump about the debt ceiling. Guys, Trump is not the one who raised the debt ceiling. That was Obama. He did that in 8 years. So why are you not? This is another example of liberal hypocrisy. This is where liberals, they want to praise King Barry Hussein and all the stupid things he did until we point out the fact that his policies were garbage, and then it's, oh, well, we don't talk about Obama because he's not president anymore. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. If you're going to take the good, you got to take the bad, liberals. Number 7, things we learned about Comey's testimony this week. Number 7, there was ample evidence to put Hillary in jail, but Comey chose not to pursue it. Folks, there was more than enough evidence to put Hillary Clinton in jail. But here we go back to Hillary